the first case, it was a murder case. It was a very high-profile murder case. It was a homicide that was committed between strangers.
There was a really dark period in Laredo where we had a county judge who never litigated, and because of politics got elected, and there was this whole political hierarchy on which lawyers that contributed to him the most received favor.
You need to be able to trust that the person on the bench is going to make the decision based on that law, based on the application of the law to the facts.
Welcome to our humble studio here on 219 East Delmar Boulevard. Another episode of On the Board with George Alkel. We have a great guest. Full disclosure, my friend Joaquin Rodriguez. Joaquin, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here, George. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the time, and this is a wonderful studio, and I'm gonna have fun with this, dude.
Well, true fact. I tried to hire you once, and you're like, no, you can't have me. But this was gonna be your office. And it really has a nice window overlooking the baseball field. You can't see anymore because it's all, taped up. We did also in studio is Mr. Benny.
How's it going?
On the soundboard. Thank you so much, sir, for volunteering your time. What I was gonna say is, true to Laredo form, we tinfoiled the window up.
Okay.
Yeah, we went old school. So it's like I said, it's a humble studio. But I'm so glad you're here. So you've answered the call once again to public service, and this time not as a prosecutor, not as an assistant city attorney, but now you want to be judge for the 111th District Court, very important court, sees a lot of important matters. Why? Why would you want to be a judge?
I want to be a judge because the justice system is an institution that is responsible for maintaining our country, our county, our democracy. It is an institution that allows for people who are in need to get the help that they need. It's a way for people to get justice when this life can be sometimes unjust. And the types of cases, like you said, that go before the court, they're very important cases. Sometimes it's victims that need to get justice because they were hurt in some form or fashion. When people need to be brought to justice because they decided that the rules don't apply to them, or they decided to break our laws. And then there's people that need justice because they were hurt in some way, and they need to be taken care of for the rest of their lives. And they need to make sure that there is someone in that seat that's going to call the game fair. They need to make sure that the person in that seat is above politics, that they're only going to use the rule of law to make these decisions. And I believe that this is the best way that I can continue to serve my community.
Yeah, and I've had the pleasure to get to know several judges over the years, and one of the things that really stands out about them is how small their circles are. Like, there's a lot that I think that people give up to be a judge. And you hear different people, colleagues of ours, maybe earlier on in their career, where they hypothesized, fantasized about, well, one of these days I'm going to be a judge. And I can tell you, it's something that I would never personally do, because I've been in public service before, where you really had to be on your toes about who you meet with and who you don't meet with. And I just think that there's a lot of sacrifice that not only you, but your family is going to have to make. What's your calculus on that? Like, why knowing that, why still do you want to be a judge?
Well, the sacrifice has already started. I mean, I have a 3-year-old son, and I'm having to go and do what, someone who's running for office has to do. You got to go and meet the people. We have almost 300,000 people. I got 7 months to meet all of them. So what am I doing? I'm going to everything. I'm going to every event so that I can speak to the people, let them know what I'm about. So hopefully they will consider me to be their next judge. So it's funny that you mentioned that, the sacrifice. My wife, she works and she has a full day, and then it's her by herself with a 3-year-old. And so when I'm home, I give my son a big hug and kiss, and then I got to tell him, Dada's got to go to work in the evening because he's got to go to another event, whether it's teaching at the university or going to another event. That's what I'm doing. And then I finally have my son tell me, Dada, don't go. Dada, stay home. Let's play with cars. Let's play with trains. And then I have to look my son in the eye and tell him, Dada's got to go to work. And that's the sacrifice that my family's making right now, even before taking the bench. Now, as far as, if the people like what I'm about, if the people want me as their next judge, then the sacrifice is worth it to make sure that everyone who needs justice gets justice in the 111th.
And you'll be able to find your stride, once you clear through the political process, and good Lord wants you to be the judge of the 111th. You'll find your stride. You'll find that balance, right? Really, and I think us lawyers, we've been challenged by balance our whole careers. Like law school, like it's always been a balance to find the time to take care of yourself, to practice your craft, and to spend the time with those that you love the most and that love you the most. And I'm sure that'll fall into place, when you kind of clear this hurdle. But working late nights, I mean, it's not like something that's foreign to you, right? I mean, I've had I'd say I've had the pleasure of trying cases against you. It was always an honor. You always carried yourself really well. I felt like it was like, because sometimes you go up against other lawyers and maybe it didn't feel so fair. But I was always really enthralled. It was invigorating. Like, okay, we got ourselves a live one, boys. It's Joaquin on the other side. This ain't the time for slacking. He's probably thinking this right now as we speak. But so trials go late into the afternoon and evening sometimes. Do you have a good war story, a good trial story you can share with us?
I do. And again, thank you for those compliments. And it was always a pleasure going up against you. Lawyers like you and others in our profession. I mean, when you got to bring your A game, and you were definitely one of them. But a couple of war stories. The first one, I had a motion to suppress against Oscar O.
Ooh.
Oscar O. Peña. I mean, fantastic attorney. It was, I won't say which court it was in, but I brought my A game, and you know what? It wasn't enough because, Oscar O, he is a really good attorney. I think I had been licensed about a year and a half. I had been licensed a year and a half. So this is 2014. And, after the hearing, I got probably one of the best compliments I ever received from a lawyer. And it was, finally, I have a worthy adversary. That to me, and coming from someone of that stature,
Yeah.
who'd been practicing law for over 2 decades by then,
Yeah.
was probably the greatest compliment I ever received from a colleague. So, and even though I lost, I learned so much from it. And I also learned that, you can't really guarantee results. You can't worry about what the result's going to be. You have to focus on what you can control. And I think that's what allows me to balance life and work. You only worry about a few things. First is preparation, presentation, and then your effort.
Mm-hmm.
If you can harness those things and only worry about those things, at the end of the day, you can live with whatever a jury says. You can live with whatever ruling a judge makes because you focused on what you can control. So that's how I find my balance. That's one of the war stories I have. And now I have plenty more, and we can go into some of those as well. I mean, it's been a wild ride. It's been a fantastic set of events, being a prosecutor, being an assistant city attorney, and I look forward to continuing that ride as a judge.
Well, and I remember just kind of watching your career track, from afar. You and I share a friend, Linda Garza, who is a phenomenal lawyer,
Absolutely.
and she really helped develop a lot of the infrastructure and the real kind of like those worthy opponents there at the DA's office. And I've had the pleasure of trying a couple of cases as co-counsel with her, and kind of that I think she in many ways she really set that gold standard. And then Julia Rubio, you came out of that lineage, and watching y'all over the years and just really putting a lot of heart into it. It was admirable. And so you were at the DA's office for what, 8 years or so, or how many
Uh,
years?
a little more than 8 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I guess you were in the special victims unit.
Yes, I was in the special victims unit for 5 years. When I started in the unit, Linda Garza was our chief. I think she had like 14 years being in special victims
Right.
unit before she left the DA's office and then came back. But she actually recruited me out of the drug unit, and obviously Mr. Alani said, "Hey, you've done your time in the drug unit. What do you think about going and protecting the children of the community?" And I said, "Sign me up. Absolutely. Let's rock and roll."
Yeah. And so then you were at the DA's office, and then you're currently the first assistant city attorney here at the City of Laredo. And how long have you been in that gig?
I have been there. It was my 3-year anniversary, August 1st. So I've
Okay.
been there over 3 years now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And how's that been?
It's been fantastic. I mean, I spent 8 years doing primarily criminal law and criminal prosecution, learned a lot about our criminal justice system, got the opportunity to pretty much go before every judge that's been that is now working on the bench. Fantastic people. Um, And at the city, there are so many complex legal issues. And, with my boss, Mr. Zone Win, I mean, someone who has 30 years of experience and who has been board certified in employment law, I mean, he's got a lot to teach all of us.
Yeah.
And we've been fortunate to, learn under him, learn how to do civil work, and just all of the departments that bring us these complex legal issues that affect the city, and not just the city, affects the taxpayer.
Right. Yeah.
So because of those things, I mean, we're always busy, and you learn something new every day at the city. And I do want to take this opportunity to talk about all the hardworking people at the city, because my goodness, making sure that government runs, it takes a team, and we have a great team at the City of Laredo.
Yeah. Well, we may have to agree to disagree.
That's
on that
okay.
one,
That's okay.
'cause
That's
I
okay.
worked for the city for a little while too. And
That's okay. That's okay.
I joke with folks like, you're lucky you get water comes out of the faucet when you turn it on. You're lucky your trash got picked up. So don't you be complaining about nothing, because
We will agree to disagree on that, George.
no, but there are a lot of hardworking folks there, undoubtedly. And one of the things that always frustrated me, because when I was there at the city, we didn't have competent in-house representation. And for me personally, having worked with Zone, I've shared offices with him. We've tried cases together. He's such a capable and knowledgeable lawyer, and he, his experience, his diligence. It was, for me, it was a relief to know that even though I wasn't there anymore, it was a relief for me personally to know that finally, thank God, we had some real trained professionals that didn't shy away from the litigation, that didn't farm it all out, that were doing it in-house. And so watching Zone build his team, you, Miss Holmes, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Charles, now Miss Rubio, Mr. Caballero, like
I think you mean Mr. Morales.
I'm sorry, Mr. Morales. There's now I would argue, a kind of a premier law firm in-house in the city. And I know from experience, the city brings just these like train wrecks of problems to you all, and to be sorting through that garbage bin day in and day out to try to, make things right is commendable. I'm glad you guys are there doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a wonderful team there at the city attorney's office. And I mean, just like with any government, there's always going to be legal issues. And what we try to do is make sure that the city navigates those legal issues to the best of our ability. I mean, it's municipal law is one of those things where it touches everything. I mean, the water you drink, the streets that you drive on,
Yeah.
everything is touched by the city, and there's legal implications to it. And we have to navigate through all those things, and we have to learn a lot of different laws about a lot of different things, and including the litigation as well. Just fighting for the city, fighting for the taxpayer there in court. I mean, there's that is what makes me feel good about my job, is the fact that we are working for the people, just like everyone at the city is working for the people.
You've got like personal injury cases, there's employment cases, there's, I would say, a wide variety of litigation, the type of cases that, frankly, a district judge in the 111th would probably oversee. So why do you feel like you're qualified to be a district judge?
So being a practicing lawyer for 12 years, it's not even about the years that gives me the experience. It's the quality of each and every one of those years. I mean, I've always told myself it's called the practice of law for a reason. You don't do law, you practice law, because every day you're learning something new. I mean, we have all of these. I mean, the law touches everything. And I tell this to my students at TAMU. The law touches everything. It touches the phone that's in your pocket 24/7. It touches everything. So because of that, such a vast, I mean, of the law is so vast, you're learning something new about it every single day. That's why it's a practice. So when I say I've been practicing law for 12 years, it's I've been learning the law. I've been learning how to be a lawyer for 12 years. I learned it fighting for justice at the DA's office, whether it was prosecuting DWIs, drug cases, for high-level narcotics cases, and then finally protecting children in our community. I mean, locking up monsters in cages. And I say the word monster because it's people that would hurt children. Children who do nothing to contribute to their own victimization. Children who trust in adults, and then those adults that violate that trust. I mean, for 5 years of my career, my days were spent with children as young as 5, 6 years old, talking to me about the worst thing that ever happened to them. That was my life for 5 years. And then making sure that the person that hurt them went away for as long as possible. And then after that, it was, okay, let me try my hand at general felonies. And then I was the chief prosecutor in the 49th District Court with Joe Lopez presiding. And then there it was homicide cases, aggravated assaults, more people that were victims of crime, and trying to get justice for them. And then, once I decided, what, I've done criminal law for long enough, mostly all of it as a prosecutor. This opportunity came and to serve in another capacity for the City of Laredo. And then I've known Zone Wynn since 2011. He actually went to Lubbock, Texas to hood me in my graduation from Texas Tech School of Law. He drove his whole family from Laredo to Lubbock, Texas, about 9-10 hours away, to hood me at graduation. So when he said, hey, do you want a job? I said, yeah, I would love to learn. I would love to learn something new. And then he said, you're going to be my second in command here at the city attorney's office. And I said, that sounds fantastic. So then it was learning more law, because I had only done criminal. Now it's learning civil law, learning municipal law, learning how the city and the government works. And it's been an amazing experience. So when I talk about my experience to be a judge, it's rooted from that. It's the quality practice that I've had for the last 12 years, and all of it in the service of this community, whether it's the County of Webb as a prosecutor or the City of Laredo as the first assistant city attorney. My whole career has been about public service. I just want it to continue that way, but on the bench, from the bench.
Yeah, and a lot of the better judges were ones that were litigators before they took the bench. There was no learning curve to pick up the rules of evidence or to navigate through the different areas of the law. And so I always felt like when I'm up in front of a judge that I knew tried cases, like that judge was going to have a much more complete application of the law. I felt like that we just weren't going to have any games. There was a really dark period, and you don't need to comment on this, but there was a really dark period in Laredo where we had a county judge who never litigated, who just, was one of those kind of rollover lawyers. And because of politics got elected, and there was this whole political hierarchy on which lawyers that contributed to him the most received favor. And since I didn't play those games and run in those circles, I was always super low on the totem pole, and not only myself but my clients and countless other lawyers and clients and families that we would represent were just destroyed by that political malaise that has plagued Laredo for so many years. What is it about, like, your upbringing? What is it about you, your character, where if somebody had that concern, maybe they would be like, you know what, I'm going to give this Joaquin guy a chance.
Well, I haven't been practicing as long as you, George. So, I mean, I'm sorry you went through that. I mean, my experience with every judge I've ever been with has been very positive.
That judge is no longer on the bench. Hadn't been on that bench for a long time. By the way,
so
things the way they are right now, I mean, it's really good. It's really good. We got some great judges.
We certainly do, and we're very blessed in this county to have all of them serving. And we are losing, and just so you know, we are losing a giant in our judiciary, and that's Monica Notzon.
I agree with that completely.
Yes, 100.
Yeah.
And so I guess my upbringing that I would talk about it's just the way I was raised. I mean, I am a son of a railroad employee, 40-year railroad employee, and a teacher. And they always taught me a few things. One, hard work. My father, you're going to work. He told me, you're going to work the rest of your life, son. So you have to get educated, find your passion, because you need to work your entire life. It better be something that you like. And my father, he joined the railway, and he was very fortunate that he liked what he did. But at the same time, like working for 40 years, it may not have been something that he was passionate about, but it was a job that he liked doing. And the reason why he liked it was he loved his coworkers, and he loved the fact that job, that career provided for his family. We always had what we needed. And sometimes when we worked for it, we got what we wanted. And then my mother, she raised all of us, and then she became a teacher. And then now she's still working. She's 70, 71 years old, and she's still working. And my father, gracias a Dios, has been retired for over a decade, but he's still working because he's working for my mom now, with the honeydew list and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So, hard work was definitely something that I was raised on. The next thing, they always told me, do the right thing. And I think I always wanted to do the right thing because I was always worried about disappointing them. They invested and sacrificed so much to raise us. To do the wrong thing would be just a big slap in the face to them. And I love my parents. I mean, my parents are also my best friends. I'm one of those kids that is just blessed with parents who, they're my best friends. So, hard work, do the right thing. And it was also, those two things definitely. And then it was the value of education. My mother being a teacher, it was, you're going to have to get educated because that is a way in which you are going to have a successful life. And I would be nothing. I don't know how my life would have turned out had it not been for Sergio and Edna Rodriguez, and what they did to raise me up. So everything that I do in this life, it's to honor them and to honor that sacrifice and that commitment that they made to me raising me up.
And so how old are you now?
I'm 38 years old.
38.
38 years old.
You look good for 30.
Thank you very much. You know, it's I don't know what it is, but
It's all that clean living.
it's the clean living and the water from the Rio Grande.
Yes,
That's
right.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I married my high school sweetheart. You know, I actually met her in debate. So I always joke around with people saying, you know, we met arguing, so it's worked out very well.
Awesome.
We met arguing. You know, she was a much better debater than me, and she's a much better debater than me to this day. And we were also blessed 3 years ago to have my son, Joaquin Rodriguez Jr. And I mean, he is the light of my life.
And what do you all do? What's your fun like go to activity? You and your son.
I mean, you know, we love going to the park. We love going to the park, and you know, we also love. I mean, my son will ask me, Dad, let's go to TAMIU. So we just walk around the grounds there at TAMIU. You know, we watch the deer, we watch the javelinas, and you know, we play races and, you know, go to the fountain, just walk around. And it's great because, you know, one day I want him to go to college. So if his most fun place to be is a college campus,
You're winning.
I'm winning.
Yeah. Now you also teach at TAMIU.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How long have you been teaching, and what do you teach?
I've been teaching there for 10 years. I started in 2015, in the spring of 2015. You know, my whole family's been in education. My aunt, my mother's sister, she was a principal at Ryan and Milton Elementary. My mother has been in education her whole career, and it's just something that I love doing. And I get to talk about the stuff that interests me. You know, I'm a huge law nerd. I love talking about the law. I love the study of jurisprudence. I mean, it excites me. You know, I enjoy it. So when Texas A&M International University called me up and said, "Do you want to teach law and society?" I said, "Absolutely." I took that class in undergrad, so it was fantastic. I even used the same textbook, so it's a fun ride. And then after one semester, they asked, "Hey, do you want to teach constitutional law, civil liberties?" And I said, "Sign me up." And ever since then, I've been teaching law and society, constitutional law, civil liberties, victimology. Because of my experience in the Special Victims Unit, I talk about a side of criminology that focuses on victims and victim profiles. And then finally, I brought a class to TAMIU called Law and Film, where we learn legal principles and legal theory through film. So we watch movies like My Cousin Vinny, The Verdict, Anatomy of a Murder, Philadelphia. And it's great because these are movies that I know these kids in their, 19, 20 years old are never going to watch because they were all made one of them was made in the 50s, one in the 80s, the 90s. So it's just great
To Kill a Mockingbird?
Oh, To Kill a Mockingbird. What else? 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
The original.
Lincoln Lawyer?
Lincoln Lawyer,
No,
not
no,
yet, but
no.
I would be open to suggestions for the syllabus.
Okay, yeah. Okay. And would you be able to continue to teach if you were elected?
I don't know. I don't think that there would be a conflict. I mean, that would have to be something that I bring up with the university.
Right.
But if they were to still allow me to teach as an adjunct, best believe that I would still be
I know
teaching.
we had a lot of judges that would teach at TAMIU as adjunct professors. Judge Kazin taught for a little while at St. Mary's as an adjunct. So I think technically you can. I don't think it's against the judicial canons, but it would be interesting to know. That would be I mean, how many people get to have a judge as a classroom teacher?
Yeah.
As a teacher, we've all learned a lot from a lot of judges, thankfully. And so then, what is there like one case in your career that really changed the way you looked at life?
Well, there's a couple, and I'll start with the first one. The first case, it was a murder case. It was a very high-profile murder case. It was a homicide that was committed between strangers. As we know, a lot of homicides in this town, it's people know each other, right? When they commit a homicide, it's either a crime of passion and domestic violence, or it's a gang violence, right? The two people, in rival gangs, and there's a shooting, and someone's life is lost. Still very tragic. Always very tragic. But when it's a completely innocent victim, I say that because the case that I'm talking about, it was a young girl who was murdered while she was out jogging. And through the brilliant work of the Laredo Police Department, they were able to find the individual who committed this heinous act. And we went through the trial, and we ended up getting a conviction. And after that conviction, he was sentenced to life in prison. And I'll never forget, after the verdict, after the punishment phase, we go and we talk to the family. And obviously, the family of the victim, they're always going to be very grateful because they see the hard work that's put in. And I'm going to let you know, it is hard work prosecuting these types of cases, going through evidence, preparing your presentation, and trying to put forward the best case possible, and especially against good lawyers like yourself. It's definitely a lot of work. So you go to the family, they're appreciative, and I'll never forget the grandmother of this victim. I mean, she reminded me of the grandma from the movie Coco. She was just, you could tell this was something in her life that, she lost a loved one. She lost her granddaughter. And I'll never forget, yeah, it still moves me to this day. So please bear with me as I'm talking to you. She hugged me as tight as she could because she was probably a woman in her 70s, maybe 80s. And she whispered in my ear the following, and I'll never forget it. There are a lot of happy mothers in this world because you are in it. And I had to excuse myself for 5 minutes so that I could, collect myself, maybe cry a little bit, because it hit me right then and there. The work that I'm doing, it matters.
Mm-hmm.
The work that I'm doing for the DA's office, it's about helping people. And the appreciation that woman gave me, it made me understand my purpose. It made me understand my purpose in this world. And my purpose in this world is to serve. In whatever capacity, whatever road God is leading me to, my purpose in this world is to serve. And so, yeah, I mean, it was the greatest compliment I ever received. It was, man, it still touches me to this day. And yeah, it's the reason, it's one of the reasons why I keep going. It's the reason why I want to do my best as a lawyer, as I want to do my best as a lawyer in this community. And that motivation is going to continue with me on the bench if given the opportunity.
Yeah, as defense attorneys, a lot of times we can become jaded, and you catch yourself every now and then, but we're also really spoiled because we know almost every time we're going to be dealing with the same set of lawyers, right? It's the same group of lawyers at the U.S. Attorney's Office, the same group of lawyers at the DA's office, and we know the culture of those offices. We know you get to after having multiple cases against the same individual, you get to figure out the quality and the mettle of the person whom you're litigating against, right? And there's a lot of rules that keep all of us, nice and neat and in order. But one of the things that has always given me a lot of peace is knowing that, there are ethical lawyers who care about their craft, that want to make sure that the wrong guy is not getting prosecuted. They want to make sure that they're playing by the rules. They want to make sure they're not getting yelled at by a judge. There's, like in every population, there's one or two, but for the most part, the civil society is able to function because the prosecution bar and the criminal defense bar are professionally adversary. Mm-hmm. And it's not just anyone that can do that, because what you get to know about a lot of prosecutors is the talented ones. They could be out there in the private sector doing really well, but they have that call to service, and they're there because they're passionate about what they do. And I don't think we defense attorneys really recognize it enough, that we get to do what we do because there's good people on the other side. And so, thank God. Now, in Laredo, I think we're even more spoiled because we are such a small little pueblo, rancho, big city, and we know who everyone is. In other cities, not that I have a whole bunch of experience out of town, but in other cities, I don't quite get the vibe. I'm sure they're out there, but in this city, man, I think we're just really blessed that we know we interact with each other so much that we get to know who's on the other side of the case.
Absolutely. And I think I think that dynamic, it sets up a culture of civility. And I like that. I like that our bar is civil with one another. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's going to be lawyers that you like more than the other, but we're all civil with one another because we really can't afford to make enemies with one another.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're going to work with each other
Right.
in the future. I mean, just by the law of averages, we're
Right.
going to be working with one
Right.
another. And like I said, I've never had a bad experience with any lawyer in my 12 years of practice. I mean, some negative, sure, but it was always in this adversarial system that we're in, because that's our justice system. That's, we duke it out, we fight it out in court, and through that fighting, there is the truth or a version of the truth, and it just depends on what a jury believes to be the truth.
Right.
And so it's never personal. I mean, we've had our scrapes in court,
Yeah.
but at the end of it, we're still friends.
Yeah.
And colleagues.
I was just remembering, though, you just made me remember that time when it was a fair fight, Benny. It was just me and him, and then Zone got involved, and like he's heading me, and then Zone's healing me, and they tag teamed me, man. They ganged up on me, and I lost. But
Teamwork makes the dream work, baby.
Yeah, you guys, damn it. Anyway, I'll forgive you eventually.
Thank you.
Would you agree with the statement that regardless of what side of the V, whether you're on the state side or you're representing the defendant, that we're all fighting generally, we're all advocating for the Constitution to be respected?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. So, I mean, I teach this, so I'm going to give you the same spiel I give to my students. The Constitution sets up our justice system. And there's a reason why Lady Justice has a blindfold. Because the law is blind. Doesn't matter where you come from. Doesn't matter what your station in life is. When it comes to the law, everyone is equal. So in my courtroom, everyone starts on an even playing field. It's like a referee in pro sports. You want them to call the game fair. And that's how it is with the judge. You want to call the game fair for everybody. Because when you do that, you ensure that the people trust in the system. Without that trust, our system is broken. Without that trust, our system does not work.
If you were elected judge, what would you do to, if anything? It almost seems like we just keep doing what we've been doing, which is scrutinize, question the state as to their burden. But conceptually, what sort of changes maybe internally do you have to make? Here's why I'm asking, because we see it's a common trajectory. Like our brothers and sisters there at the U.S. Attorney's Office end up being the applicant pool most of the time for the lawyers that are selected to be magistrate judges, right? And then magistrate judges matriculate their way on up, percolate their way on up to becoming district judges. And so many of our judges are former prosecutors. And so the defense bar, and I don't want to speak for the bar as a whole, but there sometimes is this trepidation of, oh, well, they used to be a prosecutor. Now they're on the bench. Of course, they're going to have this mindset that's very pro-government. By the way, that hasn't been my personal experience, but it is sometimes a comment that is made by other lawyers. Given your government experience, what do you think are going to be like your controlling principles so that when you are a judge, you're not going to have this bias towards the state?
What I will say is that as a judge, you have to make sure to apply the law to the facts. And when a lawyer comes before you, they know whether or not the law is on their side. So as a practitioner, you come into the court, you know that the law is on your side, that you have the facts, you have the case law. You need to be able to trust that the person on the bench is going to make the decision based on that law, based on the application of the law to the facts. And it doesn't matter whether or not it's the prosecution. It doesn't matter whether or not it's the defense, if it's plaintiff's lawyers or defense lawyers. It doesn't matter. What matters is, do you have the law on your side? And if you do, then you know what the right call is just by looking at the law. That's why it's not about for me, I don't come from a political family. I don't come from the world of politics. This is my first attempt at politics. And the only reason why I'm in it is because I really want to be a judge. I cannot become a district judge unless I run a political campaign. But again, the decisions of a judge are based on the law and the facts. That's it. Nothing else. It's not about what I believe. It's not about my own biases, because I'm a human being. I'm going to have them. But you look to the law. You look to what other judges say about the law. You look at precedent, and you make sure that the facts align with the facts before you. And that's how you get away from those biases. You make sure that you follow the law and nothing else.
So what's a little obscure or big unknown fact about Joaquin that most people don't know? What do you want to share with folks out there?
I lettered in football, Texas high school football. It's and I'm going to say this, jokingly, but every time I tell that to people, the looks I get, it's becoming a little disrespectful. Again, I'm just joking. They're very surprised by that. But yeah, I played varsity football, and I wasn't very good, but I played varsity football. That was my thing in high school. And
You went to Nixon?
I went to Nixon. I'm a Nixon high grad, go Mustangs. And, I really enjoyed my time. The values that I learned while in pads and in a helmet on the football field, I carry those values and those lessons to this day in my career. Working hard, never stopping until the whistle blows, and, playing fair.
Yeah.
So that's something that the people need to know. I mean, you see the glasses, see the bow tie, you think there's no way this guy put on pads. I promise I did.
Then you sounds like you very quickly transitioned into golf.
Yes. Well, I've been playing golf since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
So
you've been at this for a while.
I've been at this for a while, and it was at our only golf course for the longest time, the Casablanca golf course. I mean, I was hanging out there in my summer times when I was 10 years old, and then always had it as a hobby. And then, got to middle school, played football there, and then played football in high school. And then, my junior year of high school, it was, hey, let me go for the golf team. And I really enjoyed playing tournament golf. I play to this day. It's one of those games you can play from when you're 8 till you're 80.
Yeah.
And and what's been a blessing about the game is I've met a lot of wonderful people playing this game. And I will say this though, golf is the only game where you have to call penalties on yourself. There is no referee out there. So the level of integrity you have to play the game of golf right, I bring that to the table as well.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking time to spend your Friday afternoon here. Yeah, this will come out here in the next, few days or so, depending on how quick the editors make it out. But You did take time away from your Friday afternoon to hang out here with us, and we're grateful for that. And we wish you the best of luck out there right now. It's an open seat. You're the sole contender. Nobody else is officially running. And so I know that I speak for a lot of our colleagues who, frankly, when Judge Notzon said she wasn't running again, we were all very concerned that it was going to be an open seat and that it could fall into the wrong hands, because Judge Notzon and like her other colleagues on the bench have really elevated what we as lawyers have come to expect as fairness, and as a judge that has legal acumen, that has wisdom, has grace, and has the political blinders on. And when a position like that is an open seat, and you start hearing the rumblings of, whoa, so and so, wants to get it, and so and so thinks it's their turn. And I have PTSD from that experience, from that one judge from way back when, who ultimately lost his law license. That freaks me out. And so many of us were worried about, well, who's going to step up? And when I heard that you were going to answer the call, it brought me some relief. Because number one, running for political office is such a chore. Raising the money, making the rounds, just being in that political fray. I mean, you've got to talk to, all sorts of folks, and you don't know whether they're there for their own personal agenda or what's going on. You're giving up a lot, and it's not lost on me. And I know it's not lost on our colleagues. And so, thank you for stepping up. Now, the real work is ahead, right? You've made your announcement.
Yes, sir.
It's official. And now the block walking begins, and the fundraising and all the things that are required of you to be a viable candidate. And man, just know that we're rooting for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I will say this in closing, that what's been the best part of this whole experience, and it's funny, you as a practicing lawyer, you don't ask your colleagues, hey, what do you think of me as a lawyer? Because we hang out personally,
Right.
and I try to be nice to everyone, just because, hey, I'm nice to, you got to be nice to everybody. It's the human experience. You're a human being. You're a creature of God. So I show everyone all the dignity and respect just because you are a human being. So when I decided to do this, I got a lot of calls from people I respect as practitioners, and for them to just give me their vote of confidence, letting me know that we think you'd be a great judge. You have the temperament for it. We know that you work hard. To me, that's been the best part of this whole experience, is getting this validation from a lot of people that I hold in high regard, and people that I, greatly respect. And it convinced me that I made the right call in running for office and running for this position. And I humbly request everyone's vote, humbly. And I truly mean that. And, we'll see how this all goes, man. It's written in the stars. It's all in God's hands. And I know he's got a plan for me, and I trust in that plan. I trust in his blessings. And I am so grateful for the many blessings that have been bestowed upon me by the good Lord Almighty.
Amen, man. Well,
Amen to
go
that.
forth. Yeah, go forth and continue to do us proud.
I won't let you down. I won't let anybody down, especially my folks.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us, Benny. You took time out of your Friday, man. Thank you. You're very generous with your technical skills and your time. Thank you so much,
It's
brother.
always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Really
Benny.
fun.
Nice to meet you, Benny.